You've come to the right place, Kirby, because I've got an answer. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The largest collection of blowhards and gas bags in marketing.
That's right. Promo UPFront, money in the pit, the mullet, a full podcast.
Get up, everybody's gonna move their feet. Get down, everybody's gonna leave their seat. You gotta lose your mind to Kirby, Rock City. Wow. Hey,
Wow.
and that's how we're gonna start off episode number 203.
Someone's had caffeine.
I've had a little bit of caffeine and I'm listening to a little Kiss this morning. But that's how we're going to start off episode number 203 of the Promo UPFront podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bill Petrie. Let's call him my co-host, my good friend, the one and only Kirby Hasseman. Let's call him the Oneater of the top 100
Okay.
of the industry. I don't know why I just didn't write something down, and so I had to think on my feet. And clearly, it didn't work out very well for me.
I think it's
once.
perfect.
So, anyway, Kirby, how the hell are you?
I'm okay. I have one of those mornings where a bunch of things started to go sideways for me, and then I'm getting back on track. It's actually one of the reasons. So none of them, and you and I were talking before we recorded, none of them were that big a deal. But it's one of those ones we stack a bunch of things that annoy you. By the end, you snap over like something stupid. But I will say that one of the reasons I was excited is this conversation always cheers me up and puts me in a better mood. So I'm really excited that we're having this conversation, buddy. How about you?
I'm doing great. Unlike you, this conversation always puts me in a horrible mood. I dread it. I don't look forward to it. It's a chore. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm doing really well. It's been working a lot, and we'll talk about that in the coming weeks, why I've been working so much. I don't think we'll get to it today. Good things, very good things. So a little bit of a teaser. But I mean, honestly, I've been just working tirelessly. And you know what's funny, Kirby? Oddly enough, that got me to thinking.
Okay.
As things often do. Now, I'm not sure you're aware who our sponsor is today, but it's our good pals over at Bell Promo. And
Nice.
why I started thinking about being tireless, they have been tireless in communicating their value to the promotional products industry. And let's be clear, Kirby, the industry is listening. In fact, they are number 34 on the PPAI 100 list, which I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about here in a few minutes. So why are people listening? Kirby, I'm glad you knew to silently ask me that. Because you can Bell Promo just about anything. Lowest minimums in the industry? Yeah, you can Bell Promo that. Deepest inventory around? Yeah, you can Bell Promo that. 5-star and A+ service? Hell yes, you can Bell Promo that. Simplified pricing? You're darn tootin' you can Bell Promo that, Kirby. And Kirby, that's just a few reasons people across the industry are looking to Bell Promo their projects. It's awesome. Frankly, Kirby, can you blame them?
I can't. And I sincerely can't, because they have gone from kind of not on our radar at all to being one of our tier 1 suppliers that we use all the time. And the thing that I think about is, you talked about those low minimums. Like, nobody's like dying to sell a 12-piece mug order, but because you have the opportunity to, it opens opportunities for 144, 1,000 piece orders. And the thing that pops into my mind with Bell Promo is just ease. They make things easy for our team. And so we're big fans. We're big fans of Bell Promo at this point.
Kirby, I don't know how you do it. Week after week, you said it better than I ever could dream of. So, Mr. and Mrs. Distributor, next time a client asks you if you can create promo that's available, cost-effective, and magical for them, you should feel confident saying, yeah, I can Bell Promo that. All right, Kirby, let's get right into, I don't want to waste a second of anybody's time. Let's get right into it. The PPAI 100 that was released last week and this week by our good friends at the Promotional Products Association International. You might know them better as PPAI. Josh Ellis and his team, who is Josh Ellis, the editor-in-chief over there at PPAI Media, and his team It's the second year in a row for this.
Mhm.
They've actually doubled it. Last year was just 100, and they had suppliers and distributors, I believe, on the same list. Now they've doubled it. They have 100
Yep.
suppliers, 100 distributors. And it's based on 7 factors, and I'm just going to share
Yep.
this, and then let's kind of wittily banter about it. All right.
Let's do it.
It's based on revenue, growth, industry faith, professional development, responsibility, innovation, employee happiness, and online presence. Now, Kirby, do you want to talk about suppliers first? Do you want to talk about distributors first? Or do you want to talk about the service providers? I'm sorry, just suppliers and distributors on this list. Do you want to talk about suppliers or distributors first?
I don't really care. I would say
Okay,
whatever
let's
kind
go
of
suppliers.
tickles your fancy. Yeah.
My fancy is officially being tickled right now. And if you're watching on screen, I'm sorry to make you uncomfortable. I want to talk about the suppliers, Kirby. I have a couple of just notables, and then let's
Okay.
hear yours. Okay.
Sure.
Let's just talk about suppliers. Here's ones I thought that were interesting. Hit at number 4 made sense to me. HPG at number 6. Koozie at number 9. Thought that was high. Not that it's not deserved, but it seems like in the promotional products professionals page on Facebook, every other day someone is complaining about Koozie. I've never had an issue with them. I don't believe you have either,
Mm.
but it just surprised me given the noise that surrounds Koozie sometimes. I feel like they get a bad rap, and it looks like that was vindicated here. And I loved that Hirsch was at number 20. I thought that was a great one.
Yep.
I thought the addition of SOC 101. I love when niche suppliers make the
Right.
list. I
Yeah.
think, that's where I think the value of the list really starts shining. It's easy to see the large companies, and of course, makes sense that HPG is there and HIT and all that. But I love that a niche supplier like
I
SOC
agree.
101 is there. And then we mentioned it in our sponsor, Bell Promo, all the
Yep.
way up to number 34. When you consider how they were viewed in the industry just as recently as, let's say, 3-4 years ago, what a meteoric rise. You have to give Susan Lewandowski and her team, including Tom Klauser, and obviously overseen by Alan Tabasky. You have to give them such kudos for where
Yep.
they're at in the industry. So I didn't have any issues with the list. And by the way, the main reason that Bell Promo was that high, and this is really telling about the work that they've done, industry faith. I love that because that's trust. And that was a challenge from a perception perspective for years. And that's been erased. So what about you on the supplier list for the PPAI Cinco?
Yeah.
That's
So
not 100.
that's not.
I don't speak
Yeah, and I
Spanish.
think so here's what I would say. I don't know that I had specific like, oh, this one should be here, this one should be here.
Right.
I think, and one of the things I like about this is, so one of my first things was I really like that they expanded the list to 100
Yeah,
on
me
each
too.
list, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
because I think it does
yeah.
include, I'm sure it's more work for the team at
Oh.
PPAI. So kudos to them for this. But I think it's really cool because it does all of a sudden, I think one of the things that these lists and all the lists do is make me look at it and go, ooh, I don't know very much about that one. I want to learn more, especially if they're over those 7 metrics, it's making a difference, right? It also confirms for me, like a lot of my top suppliers are on here. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. This is the reason I trust them. You mentioned Koozie Group. Yes, they had some issues. I think that, but part of the deal is we all go through as organizations challenging times. It's what do you do with it and how do you improve it, right? And so, and I dug it. I like that Bell Promo was on there. You mentioned SOC 101, and I like some of these other, like Terrytown is a supplier we use all the time, but they're not the size of a Koozie Group or stuff like that. So the ability for this list to recognize some of those, what would you call, and not small, they're great size suppliers. But because it has there's 100 of them, B, there's more than just that criteria.
Yeah.
Those were sort of my takeaways.
Great takeaways, Kirby. Great. I have nothing to add to your supplier list. Let's talk about distributors. You want me to kick it off, or you want to?
Yes, go for it. This is your topic.
So a couple things that jumped out at me. Staples being number 8. I'm shocked that they were that high. I'm shocked that they were higher than American Solutions for Business, who were at number 10, I believe.
Yes, that caught
And
my
I'll tell
eye.
you why. I'll tell you why. I never see Staples. Yeah, I know they're big. Yes, I know that they are from a revenue standpoint, they're certainly very high up there. I don't see them anywhere. They're not even on my radar. I forget that they're actually in the industry. Not a criticism of Staples. It's just they're not in my sphere.
Yeah.
And maybe that's more, maybe I'm too myopic. Maybe it's more of a criticism of me. But I thought that was interesting that they were so high. I love that CNC Creations was at number 32. And the
Mm.
reason why is when I went to college at Texas A&M University, they were the t-shirt supplier. And I
Mhm.
knew them when they started. And to see
Yeah,
how big they've become,
that's
I think
cool.
70 million in revenue, if I remember right, and see them that high on the list. Great job there. Because I'm sure they've expanded obviously quite a bit. My biggest piece of joy on this list absolutely is at number 16 with Something Inked. If
Okay.
you don't, and a lot of people don't know Something Inked, they kind of operate on very specific projects in the industry. They're growing, they're expanding. Great group of people. You've got David Schneiderman, you've got Todd Schneiderman, you've got Bill Feldberg, you've got a great team there. I could name a bunch of other people, and it was based on growth and again industry faith. We talk about how much we love disruptors, and it's an overused word for sure. It really applies here at Something Inked. They have
Mhm.
really, when you see an empty arena before a playoff game, maybe an NHL game or an NBA Finals game, and it's got T-shirts on the back or towels,
Mhm.
a lot of times that's Something Inked, and that is
Right.
you talk about some competitive cutthroat business you're getting there,
Yeah.
and they get it, and they're really starting to focus more also on the corporate side of things. I love seeing a company like that. And you talk about a meteoric rise, and I'm even sure you're familiar with Something Inked.
I
So
mean,
that
I
one,
know
I
of them, but not very much. Yeah.
that one I absolutely love that they were number 16.
Yeah. Cool.
That's all
Uh,
I've got on the distributor side.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Again, I back to the idea. I love that there's 100 on there. I think it's really cool. Love that Brand Fuel's on there. They weren't on there last year. I made a comment about that. And again, they're one of those distributors I look up to about the good work that they do. And so that's cool. One of my things, and this, I don't think this is a criticism, but it was something I noticed. And so
Mhm.
somebody can probably clarify this for me. I was curious that since revenue is a piece of the metric, that there's
Mhm.
quite a few on there. And you mentioned Staples, right?
Yeah,
Staples is really high up there, and right beside their, their revenue, it says estimate,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay. It's a really important metric that we're guessing. That's weird to me. And then and then reported limited by PPI membership tier.
yeah,
So in other words, it again, this isn't necessarily a critique, it was just something I didn't understand.
sure,
Is that okay, if revenue is such an important factor,
yeah,
it feels weird that it's not, that they're not participating. Like I as a distributor, sort of in the interest of transparency, I didn't really participate in this because I didn't feel like we were there,
right,
not only from a revenue perspective, but just like some of the questions I went through, some of the questions I'm like, I don't think this is where we're at right now.
right,
So it would have been weird if I showed up on the list. You see what
yeah,
I'm saying? Like, oh,
I
well,
do.
we like Kirby, so it's fine. So if they're not giving that data, I think it's weird. That's the piece that it just stuck out to me, not
Yeah,
in a terrible thing or whatever, but it's something that stuck out.
no, I get that. I think maybe part of it is based on their membership tier level because PPA has changed how that structure works.
Sure. Mhm.
And if you're only at a certain tier, I don't think you get full reporting numbers. Again, I don't know how it works. I'm sure,
Yep.
Josh Ellis, who is not only a good friend, but also a good friend of the podcast.
Sure.
And so I'm sure he generally listens.
Mhm.
And I'm sure he'll
And he can
correct us, which
clarify
I always
that.
appreciate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, like I said, this is not a harsh criticism, but it's like one
No.
of them will say reporting limited by PPI membership tier.
Yeah.
But like, I'll give you an example. 39 is Myron, reporting limited by PPI membership tier.
Mm.
Number 40 is National Pen,
Yeah.
estimate.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm sure buried in the explanation of how the list was figured out,
Yep.
that is probably in there. But I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure we'll hear from Josh Ellis. And I did want to point out before we put a bow on it, and I love your comment there. What I like about this list is the second year of this list, and when you put out a list like this for the first time, especially when you're an organization that is the industry trade association,
Yeah.
there are a lot of loud voices who are going to tell you how wrong you are, and you end up swimming through a river of shit because you decided to do something like this.
Yeah.
The easy thing to do is say, screw you, it's our list, and we're going to do it our way.
Right.
The more difficult thing to do is say, you know what, maybe you have some good points. And I think really PPAI, Josh Ellis and his team did that. They broke it up into two. They separated the distributors and suppliers. And I think that was smart. They doubled the size of the list. I also think that was smart. And I think it shows, the type of organization that PPAI is, especially in that media department, that always listening, always looking to improve. And I really think that's some cool stuff there. So
Yeah, and I think
Josh,
at the end of the day, I'm sorry, I apologize.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go.
So one of the things I like, and I think it's one of the goals of the list, is that it highlights organizations that make me want to do better in my business.
Yeah.
And I think that what I like about this is it's driving people to measure based on what PPAI deems is the right behavior. And I think that's smart.
Right.
If you're going to go through all this work, then that makes sense to me.
Right. And I do, I think it'd be interesting to have some clarification on what estimated revenue means. Because I actually, while you were talking, I estimated Brandovate's revenue. It looks like we're going to hit 470 million this year.
Yeah,
Just an estimate.
Yeah,
hey, so Promo Pulse, our good pal Jason Noakes over at Promo Pulse, asked his friend Chat GPT. He calls it Chatty. He asked Chatty to write a 4-line song about the testimonials they have. I'm not going to sing it. I find it more, I like it more dramatic, read as Charlton Heston, perhaps in the 10 Commandments or Planet of the Apes. So we're going to try it that way. Terry and Linda see the orders flow. Amp's magic makes their business grow. Kim's marketing is on a spree. Thanks to Amp, she's worry-free. Dan's emails bring the deals while Becky turns the big appeals. Amp by Promo Pulse, a grand ally, helping dreams in business fly. All right, if you want to see the actual testimonials that came, those were derived from by Chatty, head over to promopulse.io/testimonials. Okay, Kirby, I think it's time for you to regale us with a topic of your choosing.
Super quick one, I think, just for fun. So I don't know if you saw this. Minnesota's tourism board couldn't have asked for a better impromptu spokesperson than Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards. So, so essentially, I'll give you the short version of this. He went viral because Charles Barkley, who is a commentator on the NBA, in commenting said that he hadn't been to Minnesota in 20 years. And during the interview, essentially, Anthony Edwards said, "Bring your ass." He literally said, "Bring your ass to Minnesota."
Okay.
So kind of a funny thing and gone back and forth. But this is what I love is essentially bringyass.com now directs to the Minnesota tourism site. And I think that is hilarious and funny. And so I have checked to see that it actually does it. I think it is a really interesting example of somebody saying, hey, this is a trending topic. Obviously, the Minnesota Timberwolves are in the Western Conference Finals right now. It's topical. It's interesting. So they jumped on this, created the website. Obviously, it creates media mentions. I mean, my guess is people aren't generally digging up www.bringyass.com, but I thought it was a really funny marketing play. What say you?
Didn't even know about it. Other than the only thing I know about the Minnesota Timberwolves right now is that the mighty Dallas Mavericks are up 1-0, thanks to Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving.
Yep.
The NBA is not really on my radar. I don't really generally care, but what I think this is, I think you explained it perfectly. It's a great example of someone taking a quick moment.
Yep.
Very short shelf life, probably a 2-week shelf life.
Probably.
I mean, I can't see the Minnesota Center of Tourism in for years saying, we're the land of 10,000 lakes. Bring your ass here. I don't think
it'll be
that's
great,
going to happen.
But
Now,
that cost them,
they could.
$7.98
Right.
for that
No,
URL.
I think it's a viral moment, and I think I think the key is understand it's a quick moment in
Oh, for
time
sure.
and know when it's over. That's what the problem with a lot of these things are. Know when it's over. And that's a very delicate thing, because
Yeah.
honestly, there's no blueprint. You just
Right.
got to know when it's time to cut bait on that. All right.
Yeah, like I
Kirby,
said, it was a
funny
quick
thought.
one. It just made me laugh.
All right, Kirby. So I want to talk about recruiting in the industry.
Okay.
And I'm going to be careful here not to walk through a minefield.
Yeah, good luck.
Well, yeah, thank you. So I received an unsolicited Facebook message about a week ago from an acquaintance who works at a distributorship.
Yep.
And it said, quote, "Hey, my company is offering a supplier referral program. Do you want to learn more about it? It's a chance to make $10,000 for every successful referral." Now, before I get into my thoughts on this, for people who don't know, I did that job. I worked at Halo Branded Solutions from 2000 to 2008. And when Halo emerged from the bankruptcy, for about 2.5, 3 year period, I was in charge of recruiting at Halo. And I will tell you, it's one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult, the most challenging job. Everybody's fishing in the same pond with pretty much the same bait for the same fish. It's a very, very difficult job. So I don't have any illusions that it's an easy job that this person has. I have thoughts on this, and I'm happy to go. If I've got them chambered and I'm cocked and loaded. If you want me to go, or if you'd like to go first, I will shut my yapper
I'll go first
about
because I don't have that.
offering.
Yeah, I don't have that
Okay.
much to say about this, but I have sort
Yeah.
of question, because I think that email could be, this side of the line or this side of the line, depending on
Yeah.
your relationship with the person. Like
Yeah.
if you really had a close relationship with that person and said, "Hey, we're rolling this out," and you know a lot of people, it might be a good opportunity for you, and they know you, and like, you know what I mean? But if it's just like, "Hey, I'm sending this to everybody I know that sits on that side," well, then it's
Yeah.
spammy. So that's what I got on that, but I
Okay.
would love to hear from you.
All right, so I know this person. Okay, I've hung out with them, had
Okay.
dinner, drinks, things like that. Even if he was even if he was a good friend, I would be turned off by this, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Back 20 years ago, and literally 20 years ago, when I was running recruiting, it's something we looked at, a supplier referral program. And I was dead against it then, for one reason, well, for many reasons, but the main reason is when distributors are looking to potentially change affiliation, the first place they're going to go to is their trusted supplier friends. And they want an honest opinion, because I will tell you, I don't care what distributor, there's a distributorship for everybody, but not every distributorship is for everybody. There are certain people that are going to fit best at American Solutions for Business. There are certain people that are going to fit better at Halo. There are certain people who really are going to excel if they're at Proforma. There's even other distributors who are going to excel under AIA. And I could go on and on and on. It's finding the right fit. So when you are I don't like where I'm at now. I'm exploring a move. I'm thinking of making a change. When you ask somebody something so potentially dramatic in terms of turning your livelihood upside down, you want their honest opinion. And when you start putting bounties on giving advice, now as a distributor, I'm at a huge disadvantage, because I don't know if I trust you to tell me what's in my best interest, or if it's really in your best interest because you want to earn a quick $10,000. I find that approach to be absolutely horrific. I think it paints the distributor in a poor light. The distributor who's putting up the bounties, or bounties maybe is a little strong. Putting up the referral bonus, let's call it a referral bonus. I think it puts them in a bad light. I think it undermines the trust level of your supplier partners, because you don't know, again, is it in their best interest or your best? I think it's so it makes every referral feel sleazy AF. I hate this. I cannot tell you how much I hate it. And the message did come across very much of I'm sending this to everybody because I have a number I got to hit, and I'm hoping somebody helps me here.
Yeah.
I hate this. I cannot hate this enough. And again, I'm
Yeah.
not calling out the distributor, nor am I
Yeah.
calling out the person that did it. I refuse to do that. I just think this is wrong. And I can't, it's wrong with a capital R, Kirby. That's how strongly I feel about it.
I like that. So here's the thing. I think philosophically, I agree with you. And I hadn't thought of it. And I really appreciate, because again, you lived in that space. You've given this a lot more thought than me. But the idea that you've been talking about this for 20 years and thinking that, and not that you think this, but like, it's almost naive to think that people won't do this though. Right. Like, right. Like like, I'm sure this is not the only organization that does something like this, because it is a way for them to have, you're, as you said, you're fishing in that same pond, but this gives you a bunch of other lines in the water. And so while it does seem icky, and man, I really love your perspective on, because you're right. If I were doing that, I'd talk to somebody like you. I'd talk to people who I felt like didn't have skin in the game. Because if I was talking to another distributor, I'd be like, well, they're just going to recruit me. So it does paint it in a weird picture that I hadn't thought about. And so I appreciate your perspective, but I think it's inevitable.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Of course it happens. When it's clear that this is now a directive for this organization to reach out to anybody who is either on the service provider or supplier side, that's where it starts feeling icky. It's one thing to go to, hey, let's go to our national rep at brand X over here and just say, hey, if you know of anybody and you think they'd be a great fit for us, we
I guess
can,
that's what I'm,
work out. I don't love that, but I understand that when you have a formalized policy that is part of your recruiting and acquisition strategy that leverages the trust of suppliers, and this whole industry is based on trust. When you are leveraging that, you're asking suppliers to leverage their good name. I've got a real issue with that. So of course, I'm not so naive to think it doesn't happen. Of course it happens. And again, I'm not sure I have a real issue with it on the micro level. When you have like I said, a clear strategy, and this is what we're going to do, and this is, this wedge of our growth, I got a problem with it. I really do. I think it sucks.
Yeah, and it is. I guess that's right immediately when I said this to you, I was like, well, it depends on relationship, depends on this, but yeah, I think your perspective on it is really solid. So I mean, ultimately I agree with you. I was just trying to think of it because again, it makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're not worried about the scruples of the relationship.
Look, I get it. Like I said, every organization's fishing for the same fish in the same pond. They want those $1 million producers.
Yeah.
But figure out a way to be different as opposed to just offering somebody a short-term cash bonus and asking them to leverage the name they've built up in the industry and the trust that they've
so the
cultivated.
lesson here too is that, like, be careful if you're a supplier taking part in this, because again, if you find out you're at the wrong spot and they just made some money, that will sever that relationship for a long time. That's a great point by you.
And even so, I mean, I'm sure this is not supposed to get out.
Yeah, sure.
Then don't send me a message.
Yeah.
So that was, don't be surprised. I talk about it when I have a podcast with my good friend Kirby, and you send me a message like that, and we need topics. So sorry, but when that gets out, I think now if I asked him, I would, if I was a distributor, I'd say, what do you think? And I go to a supplier and say, I'm thinking of making a change. What do you think? And they say, I think brand X would do well for you. I'd say, well, let me ask you a quick question. Are they giving you a referral bonus for this?
Yeah.
I would ask that. So,
yeah.
All right.
I think that's a good one.
You have another topic?
Super quick. I do think it's
super quick.
Yeah. I'm the king of quick ones today. So a city in Texas named Kyle.
I'll insert my own joke there.
Yeah, that's right. You just ask. Amy will be sure to corroborate. A city in Texas named Kyle attempted to set the Guinness Book of World Records with the most Kyles in one place. Well, 706 Kyles gathered on Saturday. They came up well short of the record set in Bosnia in 2017 with 2,325 Kyles. So, question.
Yeah.
What record could we set at Expo? if we gathered as many Kyles or Bills or Kirby's in a room that we could send a Guinness Book of World Records and create some new topic for bringyass.com.
Okay, got great question. You've come to the right place, Kirby, because I've got an answer. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The largest collection of blowhards and gas bags in marketing. Absolutely, bar none, done. And you and I are the leading blowhard and gas bag.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who's which. It's like the worst morning show ever. He's blowhard, I'm gas bag. We got traffic and weather together on the 8s. No, I saw this.
I'm not
story,
sure
by
how
the
we
way,
measure
about
this,
Kyle.
but I'm kind of in on.
Yeah, here's the thing. I saw the story, when I was a kid and I had the Guinness Book of World Records, right?
Mhm.
That was a magical thing. Paperback book. I love looking at that. And I always wonder, well, what could I do to get in the
Right.
Guinness Book of World Records?
Sure.
The bloom is off that rose a little bit because it seems like you can do just about the weirdest thing and get in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Sure.
But I don't know. So maybe we should ask our audience.
I love that
if we could
idea.
ask them what world record could we create at Expo? That would be really cool. And I'm going to ask people to do something that our good friends at Bell Promo have done for the last several years, which is work tirelessly on that question.
Yeah.
Think about it all the time because our good friends over at Bell Promo, they have worked tirelessly, Kirby, in this industry to communicate the value. And to be clear, like I said, the industry has listened. Lowest minimums, deepest inventory, 5-star and A+ service, simplified pricing. You can Bell Promo the hell out of all of that. Okay. All right. So, you've said it. I've said it. I think the only thing left to say is when distributors have a client and they're asked, can you create magical promo that's available, cost effective, and just amazingly effective? You answer, yeah, you can Bell Promo that.
That's right.